Okay, welcome back, everybody. We're now in session 4 of Around the Clock Summer School. Thanks for spending the time with me. I know you've got lovely weather outside if you're in the UK, but it's better to stay in, stay cool. And we've got great speakers still to come today, which is good. We've got Steve Ward, trading psychologist, coach, just joining us, hopefully here already, and I will be able to bring him in as presenter in just a second or two. Following Steve, we're going to go over to Sunil Adam Harris, first of all, at 1 p.m, and Sunil Mangwani at 2 p.m, and George Halmy at Click Events at 3 o'clock. So let's bring Steve in. I can see him here, which is fantastic. If you can hear me, hello, good afternoon. And just be patient. The system just takes a few more seconds to transfer the presenter. Journaling tips to improve your trading performance. Steve will be telling you about a journal that he's recently published, and is helping lots of traders to record their daily trades. And there he is, Steve.
Hi Simon, how are you?
Good afternoon. I'm very well. How are you doing?
Yeah, good. How's things in Spain?
Hot. Hot, and yeah, just watching people milling around in big groups of parties and thinking, oh no, you shouldn't be doing that. But everybody is still wearing masks, which is one good thing to see. But we just take every week as it comes. Nobody's traveling very far. Let's say. How about yourself? You're in London.
Yeah, in London, hot, sunny. Nice to be able to say that.
Yeah, it is for a change. I don't feel guilty about saying it's hot and sunny for once, which is great.
Yeah. No, it's been glorious weather. Although, obviously, as a true Brit, I would add too hot.
Too hot. Go after 2 days. That's enough of that nonsense. Well, let's, Steve. If you can, we're on a new system. If you can use the little symbol that looks like a little laptop with an arrow in it to share your screen, we'll get that out the way before we get.
Mine. Oh, I've got like a little
box. Above your own webcam picture of you, you'll see some symbols appear.
Okay, I've got it. Yeah, I see it. Yeah, cool.
And it doesn't happen instantly. It takes sometimes just 5 to 6 seconds.
Let's see what happens.
There we go. I can see it starting now, which is good. So we've got not the largest audience, given that I think we're in the middle of summer and it's fantastic weather outside, but the people that are here are good people, and they've been asking some great questions, and I think we've been helping to open their eyes to some new strategies. We've had Ian Coleman, Tarun Nagapan, Martin Walker, all of whom know you, have either read some of the books or met you personally, or maybe even trained with you, which is great. And Taru left his last presentation leaving a glowing testimonial for listening. Continue to listen into your presentation. We've done before some trading mindset and trading psychology presentations. And today you're focusing on one aspect of that, really, that can almost crystallize into the journal. And some of the speakers already have talked about how they record the trades even in little chat box or text box, something like that. But it's this idea that you're focusing on today, I think, because it really is such a crucial part of managing to monitor what you're doing and to pick up on any areas that you can improve on or mistakes that you keep making and so forth. So it's great that you're here to tell us about it. I'm not seeing the full screen yet. Maybe I need to close my video.
Oh, okay. Let me see if I can just try this again. It's always
now I can see it. Now I think I had to close.
Oh, hang on. I can't seem to get the platform, and maybe if I go, let me go full screen. I can't seem to get the platform showing and my. What are you seeing now?
Well, I see it, and then it just goes to black, which is strange.
Okay, let me stop sharing. I'm just going to try and share again if I can. Okay, let me just try and share this again. Let me get the PowerPoint up. You did make me nervous when you introduced yet another form of
I don't like you to get too settled and too
just got
comfortable,
used
you
to
know?
Zoom and all various other platforms. I can't even find the box now to get my slides up, Simon. On my okay, here we go. Got it. Yep, got it. Let's try again.
Okay.
Select window or screen. Okay, there's nothing. Right, bear with me. This is where people like Tiru, who are like web wizards, have the edge over me. I'm like old school still.
We should be absolutely fine, but there's no hurry.
Right, let me just try this again. Let's see what happens. Do I need to have the PowerPoint?
Well, it would just pick up the screen. Have you got more than one screen open on your desk?
Well, I've just got my PowerPoint that I'm trying to show, but it won't. Originally, it said show PowerPoint, but now it's just saying select screen or window, but it's not showing any other screen or window.
Okay, so if you click on one of these windows, you'll need to actually click on one of the windows and then confirm. Okay, can you still hear me? Okay, I suspect Steve's actually logged out, and we'll be coming back in. I hope. Right. Okay. Just while Steve's logging back in, Sharon. Yes. I mean, we have actually sent instructions, and it's just a bit of a wobbly system. Oh, Steve's still here. That's great. Okay. So Steve, I'll bring you back in as a presenter, and then we should be able to go through these steps again.
Hi, Simon. I can't get my the slides to show. What do I need to do? Like on GoToWebinar, I just bring up the PowerPoint, click share screen, and it happens. But at the moment, when I'm clicking on share screen, it says, what do you want to share? But when I try, it says there's nothing to share. Do I need the PowerPoint open?
It shouldn't matter. You should have, if you have the PowerPoint open on ready, and then just go up to above your thing, just toggle the little share screen button, and it will bring up whatever it is that you're looking at on the screen.
Okay, let's try again. Good test of my patience and composure.
It's all right. It's not your fault, Steve. It's just a.
It's not letting me. It's not even coming up with anything. When I press that share screen button, nothing's happening.
Let me take my one off. See if that helps.
I click on the share screen, a little circle goes around, and that's it.
Okay. Well, do you have the PowerPoint? Maybe while we're talking, maybe you can email me the slides, and I'll bring them up from this end with that.
Yeah, we can have a go at that. I'll have to do a little bit of jiggery pokery at this end. Let's have a look. If not, we just do it without Simon, to be honest.
Yeah.
Right, I was trying to send these to you.
Mike, yes, the recordings will be available here actually on this same link and on the YouTube channel. So the YouTube channel I can type in here is simply youtube.com/IX investor.
Doesn't seem to like my Mac very much, Simon. This I don't think, and I've tried it on. I'm actually using I'm using. Oh yeah, I know. I'm using Firefox because it didn't like Safari, so I've changed to Firefox, but it's really slowing my it's really slowing my system down. Even emailing to you is going to take a little bit of I'm just going to see if I can get the email sorted out now. Bear with me. It's all running super slow. I don't know if it's the I'm not technologically enough to understand what's going on, but my whole system's super slow.
Oh, well, you shouldn't need too much bandwidth. Maybe what I'll do is I'll turn this video off, and that might help. Maybe the heat wave is melting the wires. That's what it is.
Possibly. I mean, it's fine. Earlier, I was working before we logged on. Everything's been good. It just doesn't seem to like. Okay, see if I can get these sent to you. No, the file's too big. It's not going to go, Simon. So
okay,
I'd have to mess around with it too much to do it. To be honest.
Yeah. Well, listen, we can just do this as a sort of
I'll just talk people through it, Simon. It's perfectly fine. I can do it from my end. So they'll have to just have my my face instead of a variety of engaging slides. Let me just quickly reset all my stuff on my computer. I've got a load of stuff opened that's not closing.
What I will do is just give people the link to the site where the Trader Journal is anyway, so they can go there.
Yeah, let me just get this up here. Reminds me of a time I had to go out to Paris to do a presentation for a very large investment bank in their brand new purpose-built auditorium. I was the first person to do a presentation and went out there with my presentation and my slide deck. Arrived 45 minutes early as usual to put everything together and rehearse, and then they couldn't get the slides to share on this multi-million-pound facility.
Oh,
and we, after an hour of trying, I said, look, we'll just scrap the slides. And I just stood in front of this very large audience of very senior traders and leadership teams from the bank and just literally did it with a flip chart. And actually it was great because at the end people loved it. They said, oh, so much better than another sort of PowerPoint. So it's let's go old school. It's
just the way.
And what I'll do is I'll put the slide deck, I'll send it to you in a compressed format later. And then if people want it, they can have a copy on via email in PDF.
Well, that's absolutely great. I mean, because I've been following, obviously we've known each other a number of years. We know you give some great sort of trading psychology help to traders of all different levels, professional fund managers, traders in the city, and so forth. And this is a journal that you've brought together, and we just thought it'd be interesting to find out why it's so important, really, as a trader.
Yeah, I mean, journaling is one of those interesting things because I think it's a bit like healthy eating and exercise. Everyone knows that you should be doing it. Very few people do it consistently. And of those that are doing it consistently, there's a large variation in terms of what they're doing and how well they're doing it. Mm-hmm. It's pretty unsexy journaling. You know, for a lot of people, it's not the most glamorous task of trading. I firmly believe, and I'll talk a bit about the evidence behind this, that it's absolutely crucial for anybody who really wants to make sure they're operating anywhere near the edge of their potential and possibilities. So I guess my interest in journaling goes back prior to my work in trading, which started in February 2005, because I spent a large number of years, as you know, working with elite athletes and teams in over 30 sports all over the world. Now, anybody who's an athlete of any level of seriousness will have a training diary. And the training diary records obviously what training you're doing, what you're eating, meetings with coaches, reading, researching, everything that might enhance your training in some way is going into that diary. And it's kind of held as a real core part of the process of mastering athletic performance. You know, I mean, I've got mine. I mean, I was a relatively serious athlete for a number of years. I've got all my training diaries from my serious years. I love reading back through them. And they were a core part, and athletes kind of, they valued them, and they were, you know, a real key part of what they did, and they were shared with the coaches and shared with, you know, with other people in the training group, and that's my vision for what I think, you know, the trading diary should be like. It's something that trade or the journal traders should kind of really value it, engage with it. It should be interesting. It should definitely be valuable. It should have some sort of meaningful output. And you know, there's a beauty in, if you've got a coach or a mentor, you know, in sharing that as well. And the athletes, the clients that I now coach in trading and investing, we do a weekly check-in and a monthly review. So the monthlies we do face-to-face, the weeklies are done via email, and they share either extracts from or their journals and diaries in full. So, you know, in all of my work, it is a core piece of my work with those clients. So it always interests me, you know, why do people maybe, I mean, you can think about it yourselves, those of you that are joining us. You know, you can think about, you know, did I have a journal at some point? You know, do I have a journal? It's an interesting question. If I did have a journal, maybe when I started trading and I read about it somewhere or was told to keep one, you know, do I still keep that journal? If I've got a journal, do I know what the purpose of my journal is? What goes into that journal? And then what do I do with what goes into it? So there's kind of a real kind of key series of questions to be thinking about, because a lot of people keep journals in quite ad hoc ways. And it's been interesting for me because, as you said, I've been working on this, what we've called it the Trader's Mind Journal with a good friend of mine, Simon Cottrell. He's a fund manager, very successful. I'm sort of the psychology guy. He's the trading guy. And we've tried to put something together between us. Simon's really passionate about performance and mastery and psychology. And likewise, so am I. And so we've tried to put this journal together. And while I've been doing that and it's sort of been a 15-month project so far, but interestingly, during the last probably 6 to 8 months, I've had a lot of conversations with my own clients about journaling, and, you know, kind of what should go in a journal, how should I structure it, what questions should I ask, what data should I keep. So there's a lot. I mean, you could make it as complex and as dynamic and long as you want to, or we go for simple, effective, and intuitive, but we want to be doing some kind of journaling process. So, you know, quite often people will start a journal and they'll stop because the journal it's not easy to keep, it's too complicated, or it's too difficult, or it's too time consuming. Or maybe they get to a stage in their trading career where they think that, you know, as an experienced trader, we no longer need a trading journal or a diary. That's just for beginners. Or they go through a tough time and just kind of lose the energy and focus. Sometimes, you know, people just aren't committed enough. You know, they just don't really want to be successful in trading enough to dedicate the time and effort to keeping a good journal. So there's a number of reasons why people don't journal, which is interesting. And it's not me judging, saying it's right or wrong. But what I can say is, when I first came into trading in 2005, just to backtrack to my original train of thought, I did a big project for this trading group in London, 150 traders they had there. And we called it the Trader Performance Program. And a core part of that program, it was an 8-week course. And a core part of that was keeping a daily journal. It had a number of tick boxes and some 1 to 10 ratings, and then some kind of subjective comments to keep. And then each week they had to look back over those 5 days of the week, and there was some kind of cumulative type questions and reviewing and revising to be done based on that week, and then some goal setting and actions for the week going forward. And that program was very, very successful, impacted traders in a hugely significant way. And although we were doing the taught modules and the coaching as a part of that program, I still genuinely believe that the journal, and I use this phrase a lot, was like the anchor point. It's where you can keep coming back to record, review, to reflect, to get insights. And it's the process of reflecting on performance and decision making and risk taking that generates insights. And then it's then taking those insights and turning them into goals and actions, and then taking that action that drives performance improvement. And to keep in that sort of learning loop of, preparing for trading, executing trades, evaluating trades, and then seeking to improve, there needs to be a formalized process that solidifies what's going on. Otherwise, that learning gets lost. There's a famous John Dewey quote where he talks about how, we don't learn from experience, but we learn from reflecting on our experiences. And that reflective piece, some traders will say to me, I do it in my mind, and that's, okay, that's better than doing no reflecting, but it's not the same as writing it down and recording it, where you can then look back over it, review it, which is far more useful. So since 2005, as you know, Simon, I've done lots of work. I've got trade, a lot of my clients are institutional, predominantly in banks, hedge funds, commodity trading houses, prop groups, energy firms, investment and asset managers. So all over the trading and investing spectrum, beginners through to people who've been in the markets 25, 30 years plus. And I've done many projects and pieces of work where we've used journaling as a part of that process, like I do in my one-to-one coaching, and like I do, when we've done the retail courses more recently. So what I am always doing in my own work is reflecting back on, what is working for clients, what works, what makes a difference. And I'm so convinced that in all the programs I've run, one of the core elements that's made a difference for people has been that journaling, reflective type practice. The beauty of a journal is it can be simple and effective. Doesn't have to take a lot of time, and it's about consistency is probably the most important factor, just being consistent with it, and it does have an impact. And there's no barriers to entry, because you can create one on your computer, you can do one in a notebook. Lots of my pro traders, my institutional trading clients, just go and buy a notebook from Smith's, and they have things, their thoughts and emotions and their trades scattered around. I wouldn't recommend that as the most effective way, but it can be done. So there's no barriers to entry in terms of cost. It takes a little bit of time, but it could be 10, 15 minutes a day or half an hour a week based on your trading time frames. It doesn't have to be extensive. Just got to be consistent with it, and then you've got to be using the insights you get to make it valuable. So, but what it does require is not a capital or time intensive necessarily, but it does require commitment. It does require doing it. But as I go back again, looping back to what I was saying earlier, it's just like healthy eating. It's just like exercise. It's like many things in life. We know, we've got the knowledge. It's just about doing it. And to do things, they need to have some level of meaningfulness or purpose or value, which again, when you have a trade log or a journal or whatever you want to call it in your language, it's got to have a purpose. What am I keeping this for? Why is this journal important to me? And once you get into that, you're going to be far more likely to then commit to it. So, I think that's the core, and that's what I try and say to people is you've got to get into, if you're in any performance activity, there should be a reflective practice. I have one as a coach and as a trainer. I'm consistently, all my sessions with clients, one-to-ones and groups are reviewed. I'm often, if they're done in a group, I'll be scored by the group, and I'll score and rate myself, and I'll do some reflective work on that. So, and that's true in sport. People who've been in sales will know it's the same in sales. Likewise for performing arts and business. So we want a reflective practice. Then we've just got to work out what that is going to be. And in our case, obviously, we talk about the trading diary, journal, whatever you want to call it. When you're keeping a trading journal, there are many benefits to it. I often talk about the benefits of performance improvement, but journaling also improves our self-awareness. So it improves us the ability to gain insights into who we are, what we do, and how we do it, and the factors that affect that. It builds commitment, and I think once you build the habit of journaling and you commit to that, it's like you're practicing discipline. You're having to practice this skill. The skill of committing to a consistent journaling practice and builds discipline in itself, so we can start to train the mind muscle of discipline. I think as you reflect and gain insights, you'll start to be able to improve your focus, because you'll recognize what's important to you when you're journaling, and then you'll be able to transfer that into your trading going forward. it's definitely a mastery activity. I think if you're passionate about self-improvement, then a journal is a absolutely non-negotiable. I think you should be having a journal in some form. But I think from my side, from the psychology side, what I really see of high value in journaling is the ability to write down in a very deliberate way your thoughts and feelings about your trades, about your trading experiences, to put pen to paper, to see your own words, to see your feelings with a little bit of distance, and to be able to reflect on them as thoughts and feelings you are having. It's a process we call diffusion in psychology. And I think that's really powerful. And in that space, this is true if you're doing it in real time, and if you can get some real time journaling of your thoughts and emotions, just as you're writing them down, there's an immediate acknowledgement that you're writing down thoughts and feelings, and that gets this distance and space. And actually what it does in the heat of the markets is it reduces your reactivity. So it gives you a little bit more of a responsiveness. There's a real power to journaling, not just as a reflective practice at the end, but also journaling, capturing data, market observations and self-observations as you go through the trading day or as you navigate through an open position over time and so on. So the next question really, and my focus today is about effective journaling practice. That's what I want to kind of really share. I think there are, I'm to have a look at my slide now to make sure I get the numbers right. I think I put down 7 core elements I think should be evident, if you're journaling effectively. And you can kind of use this as a mental checklist. So the first one, I think, to be effective in journaling is you've got to be committed to that. And I think what that means for me is that it's a part of your process. So I've got some traders I'm working with currently who are phenomenal traders, absolute, top trading talent on a global scale. And if I look at that group, there's a real core commitment to, daily preparation, end of day reflection, weekly check-ins, monthly reviews. So a continual process of improvement, but it's inbuilt into what they do. It's not something they have to make themselves do. They've built it into their trading process. It's high value, just as high value as entering a trade, managing position, or exiting a trade. So I think you've got to ingrain it into your process. And then the other part of commitment is quality. It's very easy when you're tired or at the end of a day, or if you've had a losing trade or a losing day or losing week, to fill the journaling quickly and get it over and done with. If you want to get value from a journal, you've got to commit to completing it to a high quality standard as well. Consistency I've talked about as well. That's my second factor for effective journaling, is being consistent. Consistency, or one of the learnings that's really being rammed home to me after being in performance for 25 years, is that consistency outperforms intensity. Short bursts of really high quality journaling for a few days, few weeks, or a few months will underperform a less complicated, less lengthy journaling process done over time. So, start small, get consistent. You can always add to it over time, but consistency is the key. And that's where actually you'll get the compounding effect. Things that you are recording and journaling over time, if you make it cumulative, which is one of my other points, my fourth point, but I'll put it in at number 3. If you roll the daily into the weekly into the monthly into the quarterly, and then you do your kind of an end of year review, if you keep rolling through these learning loops and these reflection, insight, action loops, then by the end of it, you'll start to see some really powerful differences in what you're doing, because that's where the awareness will build from, and that's where the improvements come from. So making it cumulative is key. Approaching the journal with a mindset of curiosity is also really important. So kind of when you're journaling, it's not about beating yourself up. It's not about a place just to download negative thoughts and feelings. It's not a place to be hypercritical, but it is a place to, I would suggest, as a mindset, to approach it like a good coach in it. And when I'm doing journaling work with my own clients, I try and encourage them to be their own trading coach as they're writing their journal. So to be curious, like a scientist, to be explorative, to look for connections, to look for insights, but to be encouraging, which is another point on my list, about being supportive of yourself, but also challenging yourself to kind of push the boundaries, to improve and to get better at the art of and the skill of trading. And then it needs to be connected. So, if you're doing your journaling and you're doing some trade data type logs, and then you've got maybe some more psychological and performance-based journals, you don't want them to be two discrete items. They want to be connected. So, tying them together. How is my psychology and my behavior influencing my results and vice versa? So you want that connectivity. And then the final point I put down here was just being active. So, you get this reflection, you get these insights. And then what a lot of traders don't do, having done all that hard work, is they don't have a process for formalizing goals, targets, outcomes, and the specific actions to achieve those goals or outcomes that then actually become the way forward, which is where performance improves. So it's really key that you make it an active process. It shouldn't be passive, just I'm writing it down each day. That's what a lot of traders do. It's just it's a benign part of the process that they've picked up and they're going through the motions, as opposed to an engaging, interesting, valuable part of what they do. And I like to kind of see a bit of passion around the journal, bring a bit of sexy back to journaling, and that's what we've tried to do. The reason behind doing this was we wanted to try and make something that was enjoyable and engaging for people to use, so they would be more likely to commit to it and to do it over time. But likewise, the challenge is to make it simple, intuitive, and easy to keep. And these are all the barriers I hear from my own clients. I've heard it for 16 years now that I've been working with traders, the challenges of journaling, how hard it is, how to structure it, how to make it effective, and so on. So based on Simon's kind of initiation of a conversation, do you fancy doing a trading psychology journal? We have decided to, and that's where we've got to. So when we think about journaling, I would say broadly there are two types of journal that people might think about. The first one is the classic trade log or decision journal. And then the second one is probably more in my sphere, where we might have a journal that records thoughts, feelings, mental preparations for the day ahead, observations during the day, reflections at the end of the day, and then this kind of ongoing goal setting, self-improvement process. Sometimes people put those both together, sometimes they separate them. It really depends on what you want to do. I think it depends on the purpose and your time frame of trading. It also depends on the data and what you want to do with the data. So, if you want to, in a trade log where you want to record maybe prices, position sizes, exit levels, technical levels, and so on, then also numbers, you can put into a spreadsheet or into some software very easily. You can also, work with that data in meaningful ways and get really good output. So, metrics as such. So it does make sense if you're doing things that are numbers based to use some kind of numerical platform to do that. But if you're doing things that are more psychological or personal based, behaviorally based, then I'm going to argue later as we come to it that maybe the old craft of handwriting has more to add for that. And then maybe there's a little bit of crossover where we might do a journal. We might have a trade log numerical, but with some journaling thoughts in it as well. So I want to talk about the trade log first. And if you're not keeping a trade log, this is really the basic starting point. It gets harder if you're very high frequency. I've got some of my clients who are trading over 100 times a day. Very hard to do a trade, classical trade log entry for every single trade. You might have to batch them, pick specific ones as such. Sometimes it's like a football reporter trying to capture, the essence of a match. Looking back over a trading day, you might need to look for highlights, lowlights, things of interest as you write your match report, as opposed to trying to capture, every 1 minute out of the 100 that happened. So you've got to personalize it for yourself. But the trade log, in essence, is a place where you can capture, how you generated the trading idea, trade entries, how you managed the position, how you managed your risk, exits, and so on. So it can be lots of numerical data around that, and also perhaps kept in a log or spreadsheet, so you can then also perhaps do some data mining and look for patterns. I would argue that what's often missing in the classical trade log is the reflection around what I was thinking and feeling as I was maybe entering the market, or around decisions that were made while I was managing my position, or around what I was thinking and feeling when I exited the trade. And actually, quite often when people think about, improving their trading, it's what they're thinking and feeling at the time they are performing a behavior that often might be the interference. So without an awareness of what's going on cognitively or emotionally, it can be quite hard then to make those adjustments over time. So, if you are keeping a trade log and you're recording, why I got into a trade, or why I got out of a trade, or why I changed my mind while I'm in a trade, then I would, encourage you to find ways to just note any dominant thought or feeling you are aware of at the time. And if you can, capture this information in real time as you're doing it, because once you know the outcome of a trade, or once those moments have passed and we're into hindsight, it's never going to be as accurate. It's very difficult to really truly evaluate a trade once you know the outcome of that trade. So if you can capture data in real time, that's really powerful. And certainly for those trading over longer time frames, that is very, very, very possible. So, open the trade. Here's the trade I've opened. Here's the reasons why. Here's what I was thinking and feeling. And as you go through the trade, there'll be points where you might be thinking about, adding into a position, or taking some size off a position, or, closing out fully, or making choices around, what you're going to do going forward. And you should record those choices, and again, on what you're thinking and feeling at the time. So build that flexibility in. The beauty of the trade log ultimately is the metrics that you get out of that. So as you start to, crunch the numbers, you can get some really interesting stats. And again, there are platforms that will do this. There is software that will do this for you, or you can also do it on a spreadsheet or by hand. But things like number of winners, number of losers, that's an interesting stat. All traders should really know that. The average size of your winners and the average size of your losers, again, should be a known fact. From that, you can work out expectancy. So percentage of winners in decimal terms times by average winners in brackets. Take away from that your percentage of losers times by your average losers. So you'll get your kind of how often you're winning and how big. Take away how often you're losing and how big, and you'll end up with a number. And ideally that number is positive, which makes the assumption that for every trade you make, there's a positive expectancy on that trade. And you can see that number shifting and changing. It'll be dynamic over time frames. But that's a good number. You can start to think about, your P&L by, if you're trading different markets, for example, where's my P&L coming from by different market, or if I'm trading the same market but in different strategies. So a breakdown of where you're making or losing money by market, by strategy, maybe by time of day, maybe by day of week. And you can start to see what the metrics are. The metrics in trading are like a mirror that you can see your trading behavior reflected in. And that's interesting, because this is objective data reflecting your behavior. It's not what you think you're doing. And if you get some of the more advanced software packages that will kind of look at your trading data, you can look at things like time in trade. You can look at what's called shape of trade. Typically when you're in a trade, how what's the pattern? Do they tend to go onside and straight to profit target, or do they tend to kind of go offside a bit? Do they languish around? So kind of what's the pattern of the trades that you're in, and how do you respond to those patterns is, again, pretty interesting. Do you have a bias, long versus short? That can be an interesting one. So, but again, that's why, you've got to have that fascination, the curiosity to kind of get the data and then to explore it. The other type of journal, which I engage in a lot with my clients, as well as looking through their trading journals and their trade logs and decision journals, is the psychology or the performance journal, which does a number of functions. One, I think it's built into and has a function around preparation, so kind of getting mentally ready to engage with the markets, so mentally, emotionally and physically ready, as well as technically and tactically ready. It has also benefit for end of day, for reflection, what's gone well, what didn't go well, what have I learned about myself, the markets, about trading, any actions to take. Can be a good place for a gratitude reflection, or 3 good things. These are kind of well-known performance strategies. A great place to reflect on your thoughts and feelings before the day and during the day and after the day. So to capture kind of market observations in real time and your self-observations around that as well, but as it's happening, as I touched on earlier. A great place to set and review goals. I think I've mentioned this before, I think, on one of these sessions about good traders are always working on something. So if you think about, what am I working on now? If you ask that question to yourself, what are you working on? There should always be at least one thing you're working on, trying to improve or develop or researching, trying out new things. And then there should be goals set around those that you can then track. And then you can take, I often talk about having a monthly goal. For most of my clients, there'll be at least one monthly goal we're working on. That'll be a goal set towards a longer term goal, maybe for the year or even beyond that. And then you can break that monthly goal down into smaller chunks to work on each week. And then you can decide on a given day if you're going to work on that weekly chunk of the monthly goal. And you can then track that, and it all feeds through. So that's a really key process. Journaling allows traders also to essentially develop the skills of self-coaching. If they structure it right and ask the right questions, you can develop really good quality self-coaching skills. I had a conversation with a client of mine earlier this week. He's a hedge fund trader, and he was saying to me how he's, we're just getting into the journaling. He's really enjoying it, but he's finding it uncomfortable, difficult to write down what he's really thinking and really feeling. So for the first time ever, and this is a very successful trader in a hedge fund, he's now having to really start to get into being open with and aware of and acknowledging his thoughts and his feelings. And that's part of the self-coaching process. Part of when I'm working with my clients is I want them to be aware of the difficult thoughts, the difficult emotions, and the actions they want to take when they're feeling and having those thoughts and emotions. Not to have them bottled up inside, because any emotions and thoughts that are inside you, outside of conscious awareness, they will find a way to play out in your trading. And by bringing them into conscious awareness, you can reduce that. You can reduce the chances of your thoughts, feelings, emotions, sensations in the body playing out in unhelpful ways. So it's a really great place to get that information out, to kind of download it, reflect on it, and build this self-coaching process of reflecting, getting these insights, taking action, self-improvement as a result of that. So I think a mind journal, a psychology journal, a mastery journal, whatever you want to call it, either discreetly or built into your overall review process, is definitely something people need to consider. Again, it doesn't have to be extensive. A few good questions at the end of the day or the end of the week might be enough to get you started. Consistency is going to be the key goal. Now, one of the interesting questions is I always get asked is, should I write this stuff down, Steve, or should I put it into a spreadsheet or buy a piece of software? As I touched on earlier, I think it depends on what the purpose is and what the journal is. If it's a trade log and it's predominantly data driven, then obviously software spreadsheets are probably going to be the easiest to enter and to get data extracted from. When it comes to the more behavioral side of performance, so the thinking, the feeling, the goal setting, the learning and reflecting, and this might just be an age factor here, but I've got a huge preference for handwriting. And actually, Simon and I, when we put the journal together, the Mind Journal, we had this discussion, and Simon was very strongly in favor that it was handwritten, and I agree with him completely. And the research is interesting when you look. There's a big move now to online and typing and spreadsheets and typing notes and so on. But the research that's being done is interesting because it shows that when we are handwriting, it's a slower, more deliberate process. The neural activity in the brain is different, and actually it's quite akin to the same activity that you can find for meditation and mindfulness type practices, which is pretty interesting. The quality of learning and memory retention is higher in a handwritten cursive process versus typing or data entry into a spreadsheet. And I think, as you're from a processing perspective, as you're writing down thoughts and feelings into a journal, then that you are acknowledging that these are thoughts and feelings that I'm writing down. So you are not the thought, you are not the feeling, you are writing down thoughts and feelings you are having. And that process is really powerful at giving people a bit of distance and space away from their thoughts, emotions, sensations, and experience that allows them to be more psychologically flexible. And that's a key skill to build in terms of trading discipline and performance, this ability to be able to be aware of what you're thinking and feeling, but with some space and distance so you're not reactive to it and you can make informed choices. And you can practice that skill on a daily basis by doing a journaling practice that might just take 3 to 5 minutes. So, it's really powerful stuff. Again, it's the consistency done over time that really matters. The final thing I want to talk about really is just timeframes, and I've touched on this because again, people ask me, well, how often should I journal? It's going to depend on your trading timeframe to a degree, but the core timeframes to think about are, is there anything that would be useful to capture on a daily basis? To be doing upfront at the start of the day or the trading session, or at the end of the session or the end of the day. If there is, that's your starting point to start thinking about, what would be useful, and I can start to work around that. The next goal then is to think about, okay, what am I going to do with all this daily information? One of the challenges of most people is they keep a journal, but they don't use what they've been keeping. So you want probably a weekly review where you can scan back over those 5 days, capture some key insights on the weekly basis, but also the weekly process should have a forward look to the next week and using those insights and information to look forward and improve for the week ahead. Then, of course, you're going to have a collection of 4 to 5 weeks. And again, ideally, my suggestion is you then review over the course of the weeks and you put that into your months. And then at the, we can do a month review and then a monthly plan, which should predominantly be, goal setting, action setting, moving forward, breaking the goals down into weekly chunks. And then we can obviously go from there down into the daily. Then we can go quarterly, where we can look at the, the monthly reviews, and of course you can do an annual check. Now, if you're trading swing trading or longer time frame investing, you might just have a weekly, monthly, quarterly, annual. For some people, maybe it's quarterly, and then annually. So you're gonna have to make those choices. But when we put the Mind Journal together, one of the challenges we had was how do we get it right for all people? And the reality is you can't. There's too broad a spread of people with too many different ways of trading, timeframes, and challenges. But we've given it to quants, we've given it to long-term, long-only investors, we've given it to intraday traders, and they've all found it valuable, but they found it valuable in different ways. And sometimes they've had to kind of tweak and flex a few questions, but it reinforced for me that, it's possible, irrespective of time frame, of trading, to kind of get valuable insights both daily, weekly, monthly, and that maybe they're the core to be thinking about in terms of your own journaling and reflective practice. So I want to just whiz through a few things. This was my wrap-up slide, just about key things for how you could enhance your trading performance via journaling. The first one is keep a journal of any form, whatever it is. A journal is better than no journal. So have something in place. Secondly is about consistency. So once you've got that journal, commit to keeping it on a consistent basis. Make it a part of your trading process. Value it as much as any other part of the trading process. Keep it simple, keep it effective, but make sure it's also cumulative, that it builds on itself, so that you're using the data that you're collecting over different time frames. Approach it with a mindset of value. This is valuable to you. Be curious, be encouraging to yourself, and a mindset of I'm doing this to take action to become a better trader. Daily, weekly, and monthly timeframes are, I would say, the core ones to be journaling over. You can be recording also your trades, your trading decisions, your psychology, performance factors, and goals. So maybe think about, am I covering these in some way or other? And then my final point really was, if you've got opportunities to share, that can be really powerful. Can be sharing with a peer, just exchanging on a daily or weekly basis. Your journals can be really powerful. We've done that in some of the trading groups that I work with. If you've got a coach or a mentor, sharing it with them can be a really powerful way. I mean, most Mondays are a tough day for me work-wise, because most of my traders who are one-to-one clients do their reviews. A lot of them do that work on a Sunday. Simon always says to me, Sunday's the most important day of the week. And actually, most of my traders do their reviewing and kind of end-of-week reviews on a Sunday and setting for the week forward. And then on a Monday / early Tuesday, I'm bombarded with journals and reviews. But I love reading them, and I respond to all of them and add comments and so on. And we start this dialogue, and it becomes a great process. So if you've got someone you can do that with, it can be really, really powerful. And that was it. I think that was Simon. Hopefully, that was all the info I had, I think, from the slides, without the slides, but hopefully some valuable thoughts for people. You're on mute, Simon, I think.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Gotcha. I was
Great.
worried.
Sorry
I
about
suddenly thought you were going to tell me that I've just done that whole session and nobody could hear me.
that. Not at all.
Genuinely, when I can hear you, I thought what you're going to be saying to me is we didn't hear a word of that.
No, you've done it. Can you
Okay.
just repeat the last 45 minutes, please? No problem. It was great. And I know it's difficult because you normally use your slides as a prompt. And we weren't able to do that. So apologies for that issue that we had there.
No problem.
That was fantastic. Some nice comments coming in. Sharon says that she agrees what you said, it becomes part of you. And interestingly, we did the poll. There was a poll. A lot of you didn't actually notice. I just set it during that presentation to say who's using a journal already, and everybody's taken the poll. Is already using a journal of some description. So that was quite encouraging to hear. Henry says loud and clear. I'm back in the room, which is great. So
I think journaling actually, just in general, has become a little bit trendy. I mean, I've noticed, just online over the last probably year or two, and even in bookshops, actually, when I spend a lot of time in bookshops, that just there's a huge number of journals, for parents, for leaders, for, obviously we've done the trading one, but Mind Journal is a popular one, High Performance Planner, Brendan Bouchard. So there's quite a lot of these kind of journals coming out now. So I think people are realizing journaling is a useful process. There's good science and research coming out behind them as well, which is really interesting. And I'm hoping on the back of that, that traders will begin to engage, a bit more with their journals. And do they still have bookshops?
yeah, I know.
Mike, this is a true story, Mike. You'll enjoy this. We got all the pre-orders in for the Mind Journal, for the Traders Mind Journal. So I had to go and post them all out. So I took them all to the drop-off. For where they take the parcels for the parcel carrier, and I had 4, 5, 6 boxes of these journals to post over. And the guy sat behind the counter said to me, "Oh, what's in all these parcels?" And I said to him, "Oh, they're books." And he said, "Oh, are people still reading books nowadays?"
So it was you standing in front of me at the post office, was it, Steve?
I'd tell you what, there's a few people who were cursing Steve Ward that day. Luckily, it was just a matter with the old beep gun. Now it's just beep, 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 and no forms to fill in. But it's funny, do people still read books? Do we still have bookshops and so on? I mean, I as you can see, I love books. I love books.
We're going back to vinyl. I know we'll soon not be able to do webinars anymore. One thing that struck me, if you are compiling, I mean, this is going to be interesting data, isn't it, from all the journals? I think there's probably another book in there, and you're probably way ahead of me on this, but to use, with permission, all this data that people are going to be recording about their own trading is going to be quite a valuable tool for people coming into the market.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, I'm always curious about this stuff anyway, as you know. We've had some traders who did we took a few segments out of the journal, did it as a pilot with a group, and they found it massively helpful. And just even reading through, because they sent through they sent their filled in pages, is really interesting what people were writing down and what they were picking up on, and how they were also personalizing the journal for their own timeframes and styles. So I think once somebody gets to the end of this, and it's 3 months in each one, there is, that's a lot of information in there. I mean, it's 277 pages. I can't if you see how kind of thick it is compared to a finger as such, but it's pretty chunky, bigger than someone I thought it was going to be, that's for sure. But that is really, if you get to the end of that, and it's also you've got all the daily, the weekly, the monthly reflections, but there's also each week there's a mental training activity where we're asking you to kind of train your awareness skills. Then there's an end of journal review. I'm waiting now because no one's done the whole 3 months. Simon has, but no one else has. But as in real clients, I can't wait to see somebody get to the end of that. And they might say, see if I did it, and mildly interesting, didn't get much from it. But I'm really curious because I genuinely believe people, when having just gone through it and then reflecting back, will get some real powerful insights from it. So I'm liking the idea. Lessons from trading journals from Mike. I'm gonna steal that, Mike. It's open source, as they say at the moment.
Open source. Well, thank you, Steve. There's you gave me a special code because you're offering everybody just a £5 discount for people that are here in the webinar, which is fantastic, around the clock traders. So people click that link, tradersmindjournal.com, and use that code SWTMJ5. That'll knock a $5 off the cost of the journal. So that's very kind of you to do that.
No problem.
So, well, fantastic. Listen, I'm sorry about the issue with the slides. I think what I've done for the rest of the day, though, I've asked the speakers to forward me their slide decks, so that if we do get into difficulty again, I can just run the slides from this end, so we avoid that.
It was operator error on my side, Simon. I'm completely.
No, I took it all on my shoulders.
No. But yeah, don't worry about it from your side. It's just
It's what you say is the most important thing, though. So thank you for going solo on that. So fantastic. Well, we will let you go and say thanks very much. Enjoy the rest of the summer. I don't know if you're going to be able to make it abroad or anything exotic, or staying closer to home.
To be confirmed. My wife, as you know, is Danish, so we're going to try and get across to see the family in Denmark. That's the main goal if we can. But nothing more than that, I don't think.
Great. Well, it must be nice to have the kids at home for the holidays after a whole year of online schooling again. So.
I hope there's some irony in that statement, Simon, because literally I've been not traveling. I've been at home with these guys now. I mean, for them and for me, for like 18 months now. We're used to having our own time and distance, and now we're fully back together. But no, we love our time together.
We've all learned new skills since last year. That's for sure.
Patience.
Well, take care. Enjoy the summer. We'll keep in touch, and I thank you again for joining us.
No problem. Thanks, Simon, and have a good day, everybody. Thank you. Cheers. Take care.
Bye for now.
Bye bye.
Okay, so a few minutes away for our next speaker. Thanks for staying with us, everybody. I know we've had a few hiccups along the way, but as I said, we're receiving the slide decks from speakers. We've got 3 speakers still to come today, and Adam has already sent me his slides in case we run into an issue. We may not, but as a backup, we've got it, so we shouldn't have these delays going on from here. So our next speaker, as you can see, Adam Harris, how to create a professional trader mindset. Now he's going to talk a lot more about his particular intraday routines and tips and techniques that he uses. He's not going to repeat. I know we've talked a lot about journaling and trader psychology with Steve already here, so we shouldn't be duplicating that at all. What I'll do is I will close this session, and we'll pull through to session 5. So you don't need to do anything. I'll do it all from the side, and when we come back in a couple of minutes, we'll welcome Adam Harris.